Okay, so let's get cracking with a deep house bass patch that we're going to make using FM inside of Operator. This is what we've got to start. So you can hear simple bass pattern playing a sine wave, and then we've got a bit of drums and percussion playing with this. So we're going to do this over 5 steps. Step 1, we're going to get the basics set up. Let's go in and change the shape of the first oscillator to a saw 4. So what we've gone for is obviously some extra harmonics, a little bit of brightness and a bit of character in there, but we're not making it too bright and overbearing. For me, if we look on the spectrum, that bass is a bit too high. I want something that's a lot more growly. So I'm going to take that course down. So we've dropped it by 1 octave. Much deeper sound. So let's solo that. And incidentally, I should have pointed out from the off, we're running just a sidechain compressor here with a super fast attack. And obviously the kick's coming into that to duck the bass and give the kick a little bit of breathing space. So, final tweak to step 1. Let's just make sure those voices are on 1. We don't want any of our notes overlapping and giving us bass chords. So effectively, all we've done is given ourselves a saw 4 playing a nice deep bass. Incidentally, it's playing a D sharp, so it's very, very low, and made sure that we're in mono mode here in Operator. Step 2, let's bring in a bit of FM. In order for that to work, you just need to make sure you've selected an algorithm where the B, which is the green square, is sitting above the yellow square, which is A. So B is modulating A. And then we're just going to crank up the level on this. And you hear we're getting a lot of brightness, but you can hear the timbre changing. So the level is just how much is B modulating A. Now it doesn't sound too great at the moment. So we're going to dive straight into step 3, which is to get the filter involved. And this will make a lot more sense now. I'm rocking Live 9.5. So we've got access to the super cool analog style filters. OSR is one of my favorites. So I've got that selected. I'm going to bring the frequency down. So we get rid of some of that brightness, and we'll take also the resonance down a bit as well. And then bring the brightness back at the beginning of the sound by using the envelope. So let's just crank that up. So you can hear we've got that nice high frequency bite at the beginning. Somewhere around 700 I've gone for on the decay. Pretty much the default was working well there. Now, next thing we'll do, because we've got the analog filter, is we're going to add a bit of drive to this. So I'm going to just bring the volume down on the output first. And then we'll drive the sound harder into this filter to give it some analog character. Cool, so that is our basic sound over 3 steps. Step 4 though is to tweak. What we really want to do now is just have a bit of a mess around with oscillator B and with our filter. And of course you want to do that with your drum loops and any other elements you've got playing as well. You want the sound to sit well with what you've already got. So let's have a listen. Okay, so for me, I like this square 3 wave for B modulating A. It's adding a lot more sort of thickness and depth, and I like darker stuff. I'm much more into the kind of deeper sound. Let's just compare again so you can hear the sine wave. Both perfectly fine. One of them feels a lot cleaner, that sine wave. And depending on the other elements you might add to your mix, you might want to switch between the two, but I'm going for that much more sort of deep, dark thudding sound that we're getting with a Square 3. So final step, step 5, is let's throw some effects at this. First thing I'm going to go for is the ping pong. And what we're going to do with this is bring that down so it's a 1/8 delay. So that's 2/16 that we're seeing here. And I'm doing this because I don't want it to have any kind of odd delays. I'm just going to use this to add a little bit of presence to the upper frequencies, just to help them sit a little bit more in with the drum loop. Let's bring the feedback back. In fact, this is going to be subtle, so I'm going to hit solo on this. I'm going to have very little feedback on this. May even go for none when it comes down to it, and very gentle on the dry wet. Let's go a little bit higher so you can hear it clearly. That's the kind of subtlety that I'm after with this. Go a little bit more in that sort of mid-range area in the center there. Perfect, that'll do. We can tweak it some more in a second. Next up, I'm going to add some chorus. I love the sound of that on these rich bass patches. So what we're going to do with this first, just group this up, hit duplicate. So we've got 2 chains now. The first one is going to be dry. So I need to get rid of the chorus. The second one is obviously housing the chorus. So if you're not familiar with this, audio comes out of Operator, gets hit by the compressor here, through the ping pong delay, then it comes into this rack where it's duplicated. So 100% of the signal goes into the dry chain, and we've got nothing on there obviously, so that's just the sound exactly as it was. And 100% goes into the chorus, and we'll get this effect on it. And because of that, I'm going to go 100% wet. I don't want any more dry signal added in here. One more thing I'm going to do is just chuck an EQ8 in here as well before the chorus, because the chorus is going to add some stereo into this. And I don't want any of that on the low end or really on any of the main body of the sound. So let's start around 200 Hertz I've gone for there. Bring that high pass down a little bit on the chorus as well, and then let's set this and see how this sounds. In fact, got to take a few dB off the chorus as well. Somewhere around there sounds nice. So what I've done here with this is just brought a little bit of volume off of the chorus, because what it does tend to do is blur the transients of your sounds. So you don't want it to be too overwhelming on a sound that you want right at the front of your mix, in this case our bass patch. So let's have a listen to the sound without this. Nice. I might just bring this EQ up a bit. Let's have a listen. Yeah, that works for me. So I felt it was just a little bit too murky and muddy. So just bringing that up a little bit more to thin out the sound. And what we'll do now is listen to the whole thing in context and make some final adjustments. So I just knocked a couple of dB off the bass there to help it sit better with the drums, and as predicted, dialed back that ping pong delay. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit subscribe. It's a big help to us, and you'll never miss out on any of our videos. Take care.